Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, yeah. Did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, and if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on...
Oh, you guys leave Timmy alone. Don't talk about his kids and his pets.
My dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
One other question, because again, this is all new.
Yeah.
This was not, however many days ago, this was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving.
Well, did the DNC know about all this? I mean, gosh. I mean, other than that face, look at that face. Oh, how could you be mad at him? Jeez.
What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistake.
Yeah, and some of them come out and say the other, everybody ain't backing you up there, Timmy. But I mean, you can't worry about that kind of stuff. Even though you don't look like the most honest character I've ever run into, you don't seem anything like your new little friend you got there. You gotta watch her. She's gonna be a horrible influence on you. People are gonna unfriend you on Facebook. You're gonna be like, oh my God, why is everybody treating me different? You must be careful with the company you keep.
When I make them, the one thing I'll tell you is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there. And I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The Vice President's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Wow. She told the truth. I thought she was going to say, yes, I may have missed some signs. She said, not at all. You were having morning briefings with this guy one day, and then the next day he called you and tell you, hey, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. Wow.
I've served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president.
Wow. You think that of us, huh? We deserve that? That's what we deserve. Wow.
By contrast, the former president has none of that. And so, one, I
They ain't that far apart. They are not that far apart. The polls tell it. And she's in there too. They ain't that far apart. She act like Joe Biden is moons away from Trump. He is, and she ain't either. Look at the polls.
am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I'm so proud to be running with Tim Walz
Both those things can't be true.
for president of the United States and to bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a new way forward, and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe.
Decade. Out of the, wait a minute. Obama had 8. Trump had 4. You guys had 4. That's 12 out of this last 16 years has been Democrats. Are you, what's going on? Did she change parties? I'm trying to figure it out. How can Kamala not realize that she is going back to the beginning of Trump's administration, kinda, and running his administration into hers? Was Trump running the White House and we didn't know about it? 10 years? How do you put 10 years together? Maybe half a decade, which would be 5 years, but he really was 4 years.
Has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years has been part of your administration.
I'm talking about
Bingo! Somebody else is listening in the room. And what was Kamala's? Now she's like, I miscalculated.
an era that started.
So then it's Trump's era. Don't tell me that isn't a person conceding. She's basically, Trump had as much time in the White House as you guys have, and you're conceding that this is his era, this is his decade. And you got to go second, so you had a chance to see what he did and fix it and correct it and enhance your legacy. But it's Trump's era.
About a decade ago, where there is some suggestion, warped, I believe it to be, that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of where I believe most Americans are, which is to believe that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up.
Who've you lifted up? Who've you lifted up? Other than the immigrants up over the wall. I mean, have you lifted up any Americans? The true measure of a...
That's what's at stake as much as any other detail that we could discuss in this election.
Because we haven't had a chance to talk, I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces.
You know, the two that were at the DNC.
And we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes.
Auntie, can I have some more goddamn bacon? She's talking about Joe Biden calling her to tell her that he was suspending his presidency, his candidacy for the presidency. He was going to finish out his term and back off. And he's just calling to let her know, as the vice president, I'm letting you know because I'm endorsing you. and she on here talking about, Auntie, can I have some more bacon? It just sounds like some straight bullshit, don't it? Does that sound like something somebody would really do if the president? You'll be like, hold up. You know, everybody stop. And then when I told the story to somebody, the part about Joe Biden calling and telling me he's suspending his campaign would be way huger than my goddamn niece asking me for some more bacon.
So I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle. And the phone rang, and it was Joe Biden. And
then she goes from this goofy ass story about her niece asking for extra bacon. Watch this. She's a horrible actor. If she had to make it enacted, it would, boy. Watch this shit. This is so fake.
and he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And
Did you ask him why? You say, Joe, wait a minute, Joe. We were just in a defense briefing, me and you. We were in a defense briefing just yesterday morning, and you looked fine. Why are you suspending your campaign? Wouldn't you think she'd ask him that, Joe? Why are you suspending your campaign? What's wrong with you? He never brought that up. She just said, oh, well, if you must go. Jeez, that didn't happen.
and that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
And he was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you.
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was about him, to be honest.
So why you didn't ask him why was he dropping out? You just said, are you sure? And he said, yeah. And you said, okay. You didn't be like, but why? Why are you dropping out? We never even talked about you dropping out before, Joe, ever. I mean, for the first time you called me and I was cooking bacon.
I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative, be it on what we have accomplished.
She is so right. Allowing that many people into the country, legally or illegally, is transformative. And that's a fact right there. What she just said is the truth. So there's going to be an impact on this country, but be it good or bad, and it might be a bad impact initially, but it might blossom into something else, or vice versa, who knows. But with resources being limited in this country, bringing in new people isn't a good idea right now until we can settle our living situation for what we have here. Seems like the best way to go anyway.
Around finally investing in America's infrastructure, investing in new economies, in new industries, what we have done to bring our allies back together and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance, what we have done to stand true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity.
I don't know exactly where she slipped that in there, but when I hear sovereignty and territorial integrity, I think of that southwest border. And with her being the border czar, she should break that down a little for the layman, you know, the people who don't deal with border czar stuff every day. She should break that, go into detail. What the hell is that about?
And I think history is going to show not only has Joe Biden led an administration that has achieved those extraordinary successes, but the character of the man is one that he has been in his life and career, including as a president, quite selfless and puts the American people first.
I just have to ask you both about two standout moments, aside, of course, from the addresses that you both gave, but standout moments that were perhaps unexpected during the convention. You mentioned one of them, Governor. A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son, Gus. You were speaking, the camera caught him, so incredibly proud of you, so emotional, saying, that's my dad.
Yeah, I I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket, but that moment, to understand what was really important, to have my son feel a sense of pride in me, that I was trying to do the right thing. And it was, you try and protect your kids, it brings notoriety and things, but it was just such a visceral, emotional moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of Hope. I'm proud of Gwen. She's a wonderful mother, and these are great kids. And I think the one thing is talking about the era we're in is our politics can be better. It can be different. We can show some of these things, and we can have families involved in this. And I hope that I hope people felt that out there, and I hope they hugged their.
But you really can't. Not if you're going to talk nice when you're in an interview. But then when you get out on the campaign trail, you're calling your opponents weird. You know what I'm saying? You got to walk it like you talk it. You can't just say that stuff and not really mean it. That's all. Let's be genuine. Let's mean what we say and say what we mean. And quit coming off like we this really wonderfully warm person when we're talking about our dog being kicked. But when someone else's dogs get kicked, the dog was weird anyway. You just can't be that way. And they're sweating bullets. Because this might be one of the only campaign interviews that they grant. And if they do grant another one, it's going to be with MSNBC. And it'll probably be at Kamala's house or something. And they get to kind of make her, she's got to be made to be comfortable. She is so not comfortable right now. I feel terrible for her. Oh well. She'll figure it out.
Kids a little tighter because you just never know, and life can be kind of hard.
And last question, Madam Vice President, the photograph that has gone viral. You were speaking, one of your grandnieces that you were just talking about was watching you accept the nomination. You didn't explicitly talk about gender or race in your speech, but it obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and that viral picture really says it. What does it mean to you?
I am running because I believe that I am the best person to do this job at this moment.
It's real Donald Trumpish.
For all Americans, regardless of race and gender. But I did see that photograph, and I was deeply touched by it. And you're right, it's the back of her head, her two little braids, and then I'm in the front of the photograph, obviously speaking. And
We saw it.
it's very humbling. It's very humbling in many ways.
Did she talk to you about it afterwards?
Oh, she had a lot to talk about. She had a lot. She listened to everything, and she listens to everything.
Give you your hot takes?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you, Dana. Thank you.
Okay, folks, the end. That was the interview in 3 parts, chopped up so we wouldn't be like taking naps in between. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not excited about these two. I ain't. And I feel the only thing they have to salvage this on is realism. Just go back to basics. Just go for it. And be as grounded as you can be, and really try to connect with people. And you're going to have to go to the Democratic Party and beg them to allow you to connect with the people through your policies. You have to come up with a policy and a plan that's going to connect with the people. Because you've connected with the corporations. Right when Biden was about to drop out, before he was allowed to drop out, they had to make sure that you were on board. And you proved to them you were. Now prove it to us. Ha! Wow. And before we wrap this thing up, let's address the elephant in the room. Besides Walz, because he's over there looking dumb. He should have spoke or coughed or something. Shit. He just said, hey, I'll be right back. I'll go to the bathroom. Let him know your ass is there. Start gulping down some water. Make some noise. Anyway, another thing that really is the elephant in the room is reparations. Reparations is a very important thing. It needs to be talked about. Whether people agree with it or don't agree with it, or however they may feel, it is something that needs to be addressed. It's something that we need to get past. We need to figure out a way forward. And nobody's talking about that. All they talk about is division in the country. And when I think of division in the country, I think of white people and black people. That's how I feel. I mean, we got a lot of other immigrants that are playing a huge role. Other people who live in this country playing a huge role in the dynamics of this country. But there was some unfinished business that needs to be dealt with, and we have people who are not willing to address it because they're racist, not because it's not deserved, not because they disagree or agree. They just point blank racist. And when the country is set up to protect a racist system as it is, then we need to come with another approach. In small increments, we need to figure it out and learn how to have productive, constructive discussions that's going to move us somewhere, as opposed to arguing and fussing and fighting about some bullshit politician who don't love us anyway. We can at least accept the fact that we care about each other. Those of us who make less than $400,000, because that's what it seems like. We're separated by money when it comes to being a minority. The black people that got a lot of money got a whole nother thing, but they're the ones that the politicians go after and work with against us. You know damn well they ain't living their life, or being harmed by any of these democratic rules or policies, or they wouldn't be endorsing it. If their accountant told them, man, you can't be endorsing her, do you realize that your yacht tax has tripled? He'd be like, what? And they won't support her. These guys are there to lead us astray, to lead us to the slaughter. I don't know why. I just know it's happening. And with that, guys, I got to get out of here. I'm ready to get back to short videos and videos with less lying in them. Ooh, I got to go take a shower. Kamala is horrible. We'll see you guys on my next video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.